He cheated with my best friend, then got a bitter surprise at his wedding. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. I know what you did. I told my fiancée on our wedding day, and you're still going to walk down that aisle. The string lights above the reception hall hummed softly, completely oblivious. The DJ tested the speakers, the florist fussed with centerpieces, and my mother adjusted my veil like this was any other Saturday in June. Only my brother Noah knew that the thumb drive in my clutch was worth more than the ring on my finger. I'm Mia, 28, professional project manager and lifelong people pleaser. For the last year, this wedding has been my full-time side job. Spreadsheets for guest lists, color-coded timelines, payment reminders I sent to myself. I built this day like I build everything, carefully, quietly, so other people could shine. Today I'm supposed to marry Jacob, funny, handsome, the kind of guy waiters remember because he actually tips. My best friend Riley is my maid of honor, the other half of my brain, as I used to joke. They are the two people I have defended the most in my entire life. Right now Jacob is in a suite downstairs with his groomsmen, pretending not to be nervous. Riley is 20 feet away in the bridal room bathroom, humming while she redoes her eyeliner. In less than an hour, every person we love will be staring at us. And I am the only one in this room who knows there is a folder on my phone labeled Jacob plus Riley, full of things that make my stomach flip just thinking about them. Screenshots, receipts, photos. Noah squeezes my shoulder. Last chance, me. We can just go. I look at my reflection, perfect curls, perfect lace, perfect lie, and shake my head. They wanted a big audience, I whisper. They're going to get one. I was about to turn our wedding into their public confession. I met Jacob 5 years ago at a charity 5K I didn't want to run. He was handing out water cups, flirting shamelessly with every exhausted person who shuffled past the table. When I tripped over a crack and nearly face-planted, he caught me by the elbow and said, "If you wanted my number, you could have just asked." It was cheesy, but he made me laugh when I was red-faced and sweaty, and that counted for a lot. He texted that night, kept texting, and suddenly my weekends were full of farmers markets, Netflix, and a man who remembered my coffee order. Riley came way before Jacob. We met freshman year of college when our dorm flooded, and we ended up sitting in the hallway in hoodies and flip-flops at 3 a.m. "If the building collapses," she said, "at least I look decent in my obituary photo." I laughed so hard I cried. After that, we were inseparable, shared clothes, shared secrets, shared the kind of dark jokes you can only make with someone who knows every version of you. When Jacob entered the picture, Riley grilled him like an overprotective sister. Soon, though, she and Jacob clicked too, teasing each other, sending memes in the group chat, planning surprise birthdays with me. It felt like my two worlds had merged into one safe place. Just a month before the engagement, Noah muttered, "They're close," watching Riley smack Jacob's arm at a barbecue. I rolled my eyes. "You're reading into it. They love me. We're all just comfortable." I meant it. Back then, I would have bet my life that neither of them would ever hurt me. Back then, I would have bet everything they loved me equally. The first red flag was so small, I almost laughed it off. Riley and I were on my couch, scrolling through TikTok, when Jacob texted me, "Running late, stuck at work. Don't wait for me for dinner, love you." I shrugged and tossed my phone aside. 5 minutes later, Riley's screen lit up. She tilted it away, but I still caught the preview. "You're impossible," followed by 3 fire emojis and a winking face. Jacob's name at the top. "Funny meme?" I asked. She locked her phone so fast, it was almost comical. "Yeah, just something stupid from work." Her ears went a little pink. We'd always had a group chat, but one-on-one texts weren't weird, right? I told myself Jacob probably sent her something he thought we'd all laugh at later. Then there were the inside jokes I didn't get. I'd walk into a room and they'd be giggling, and when I asked, they'd say, "You had to be there." I was at work, earning the money for half this wedding. I told myself it was nice they got along so well. Still, something in me kept a quiet score. The way Jacob's eyes followed Riley when she walked to the bar at my birthday. The way her hand lingered on his shoulder a second too long when she congratulated us on the engagement. One night, scrolling through Instagram, I saw Jacob had liked 3 of Riley's bikini photos in a row from last summer, all within the same minute. He'd never done that on mine. My chest tightened, then I laughed at myself. "You're being insecure. I whispered into the dark. They're your people. But the next time we were all out together, I noticed they never looked at me when they laughed. It was the way their eyes met that finally unsettled me. The stories started not to match. Jacob told me he was grabbing drinks with some guys from the office on a Thursday. Later that night, Riley sent a selfie to our group chat. Her, at a bar downtown, big neon sign behind her that I recognized immediately. I typed, "OMG, I love that place," and waited for someone to mention Jacob. No one did. When he came home, his shirt smelled faintly of Riley's perfume, the vanilla amber one I'd helped her pick. "You're late," I said lightly. "Yeah." Kyle wouldn't shut up about his fantasy football team, he said, kicking off his shoes. "Boring as hell." "Kyle," I asked, "where'd you guys go?" He named a different bar on the opposite side of town. I felt the floor tilt a little. "We should all go sometime," I said, just to see his face. "Yeah, sure," he answered too quickly, already scrolling his phone. A week later, I went by Riley's apartment to drop off fabric swatches. Her door was locked, even though she knew I was coming. I heard shuffling inside, a muffled laugh, and then silence. After a full minute, she opened the door, hair messy, shirt half-tucked. "Wow, dramatic entrance," I joked. "You hiding a secret boyfriend in there?" Her laugh was too high. "Please. I wish." She stepped aside, and her living room was empty. Nothing looked out of place, but the air felt thick. That night, I told Noah, "Do you ever get the feeling people are lying to you, but you can't prove it?" He didn't brush it off. He just asked, "Have they given you a reason to feel that way?" I thought about mismatched bars and perfume and locked doors. For the first time, I wondered if my paranoia was protection. The slip-up came on a rainy Tuesday, 3 months before the wedding. I was at work when my phone buzzed with a notification from our shared cloud album, new photo added by Jacob. We used it for venue pictures, dress options, centerpiece ideas. I opened it expecting another screenshot of a seating chart. Instead, I saw a blurry hotel room mirror shot. Riley, in one of those oversized white robes, hair up in a towel, holding a glass of champagne. Her bare thigh was visible under the robe. A man's arm was wrapped around her waist from behind, phone in hand, as if he'd taken the picture in the mirror. His face was cut off. I recognized his watch. It was the one I'd given Jacob for Christmas. My stomach dropped so hard I had to grab my desk. I stared, refreshing the screen, thinking maybe it was some horrible glitch. Within seconds, the photo disappeared from the album. "Gone." Jacob texted, "Ignore that. Wrong album. Helping a coworker with something." Helping a coworker. In a hotel robe. With his arm around her waist. I screenshotted the notification anyway, even though the photo itself was gone. The timestamp, the tiny thumbnail. It was something. That night, I tried to act normal. "Busy day?" I asked, chopping vegetables. He kissed my cheek. "You have no idea. My boss is on a warpath." "Did you go anywhere fun for lunch?" He shrugged. "Just grabbed something from the cafeteria." No mention of hotels. No mention of Riley. My hand shook slightly as I passed him the salad bowl. "Everything okay?" he asked. "You seem quiet." I smiled too hard. "Just tired. Wedding brain." Inside, my brain was screaming. One screenshot later, my heart knew something unforgivable already happened between them. After the hotel photo, I stopped giving them the benefit of the doubt. I started giving myself the benefit of the evidence. I went back through months of messages. Not theirs, I'm not a hacker, but mine. Times Jacob said he was working late. Times Riley bailed on girls' night because she was crashing early. I wrote them in a spreadsheet, lining up dates and alibis. Project manager mode, but for my own heartbreak. Noah caught me one evening surrounded by sticky notes at our mom's kitchen table. "This looks like a conspiracy board," he said gently. "Maybe it is," I replied, sliding him my phone with the cloud notification screenshot. "Tell me I'm crazy." He stared at it for a long time. "I won't do that to you," he said finally. "What's your next step?" I started checking their social media tags. Riley posted a boomerang at a rooftop bar, martini glass raised, tagging girls' night, with 2 random coworkers. In the background, barely visible in the reflection, was the outline of a man in a navy jacket I'd seen hanging in Jacob's closet. I began saving everything: photos, timestamps, receipts from our joint account showing charges at places he never mentioned. I didn't break into phones or emails. I didn't need to. They were sloppy. I asked Riley casually, "Hey, weren't you at that new rooftop bar last Friday?" How was it? She blinked. Oh, I just went to a movie that night. Rain check on drinks? Lie. Right to my face. Planning the wedding became surreal. I'd taste cake samples in the afternoon and scroll through suspicious transactions at night. Venue invoices sat in the same folder as my growing evidence. I felt like I was planning two events, a wedding and a controlled detonation. I started treating my own life like a crime scene timeline. The confirmation came from the last person I expected, the bartender at a little place Riley and I used to love. I went there alone on a Thursday, sat at the bar, and ordered our usual lavender gin cocktail. The bartender, a woman with a nose ring and tired eyes, smiled. Haven't seen you and your crew in a while. My crew? I asked. Yeah, your friend and your boyfriend. They're funny together. She wiped the counter. They were here last month. I thought you guys were a package deal. My throat went dry. Last month. I said, playing dumb. Maybe I forgot. She laughed. They were definitely here. They were, celebrating something. She mimed clinking glasses. He kept calling her trouble. Cute couple. I stared at the condensation on my glass. Did he say his name? Jacob, right? She said casually. Tipped well, at least. I left a ridiculous tip and walked out into the evening air that suddenly felt too thin. My hands shook all the way home. That night, after Jacob fell asleep, I lay staring at the ceiling. I could hear Riley's laugh in my head, see Jacob's hand on her waist in that hotel robe. The bartender's words played on loop. Cute couple. The next day, I finally crossed a line I'd been avoiding. While Jacob was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Face up. A preview banner slid down. Riley. I can still taste the champagne from that bathtub. My vision tunneled. I didn't open the thread. I didn't need more. I took a picture of the screen and put the phone back exactly where it was. When the shower stopped, I was in the kitchen making coffee like nothing had shattered. There's a special kind of silence when trust dies in daylight. Once I had proof, people made less sense. I watched Jacob move around our apartment like everything was fine, kissing my forehead, asking about vendor emails, complaining about work. Every gesture felt like a smear on glass I'd just cleaned. Riley texted about bridesmaid dress fittings with heart emojis, and every heart looked like a bruise. I could have confronted them right then. I drafted a dozen texts. I know about the hotel. How long has this been going on? You're both dead to me. I deleted them all. I didn't just want a screaming match. I wanted answers, and I wanted them to feel something even close to what I felt. One night, I took my spreadsheet and screenshots to Noah. His jaw tightened with every new piece of evidence. When I finished, he sat back, eyes shining with rage I'd never seen in him. Okay, he said quietly. So what do you want now? Revenge, closure, both? I stared at my engagement ring. I want my life back, I whispered. And I want them not to walk away from this like I was just a phase. He nodded slowly. Then don't give them the story where they're the poor victims of your crazy jealousy. They'd love that. What's the alternative? I asked. Use the story they wrote, he said. But you choose when and where it gets read. That was when the idea landed. The wedding. The very stage they'd been rehearsing on behind my back. All those people. All that performance. If I let this wedding happen, I'd be marrying humiliation. The next week, my Google Drive filled with two new folders, Wedding Day Final and Wedding Day Truth. On the surface, I kept moving like a bride. I met with the venue coordinator about the projector for our slideshow. We'll run it right before the first dance, she said. Just give us the final file the night before. Perfect, I replied, already imagining a different set of photos on that screen. I met with the DJ and handed him a USB drive labeled Speeches and Music. It contained our chosen songs and a neatly named audio file, maid_final and feature_final. MP3. In reality, it was my own voice, recorded in Noah's bedroom, reading out the timeline of their affair over a soft instrumental track we'd pulled from a royalty-free site. Calm, measured, impossible to shout over. Noah insisted we talk to a lawyer friend of his about the deposits and contracts. If you blow this up, you don't want them to say you just ran off and stuck everyone with the bill, he said. We went over the venue contract, the refund policies, my rights to use my own digital materials. The bitter surprise had to be dramatic, not lawsuit-level dumb. I printed the most damning screenshots, hotel robe, bathtub text, bar timestamps, and sealed them in an envelope labeled with their names. I tucked it into my clutch next to my lipstick. In case anyone tried to call me a liar, the paper would be right there. Every pattern on the seating chart suddenly felt symbolic. I moved Riley from directly beside Jacob at the head table to one seat farther away, putting Noah between them. A tiny act of control in a sea of chaos. By the time the florist called, my revenge had its own schedule. As the wedding got closer, Jacob and Riley started acting nicer. Almost suspiciously so. Jacob brought home flowers on a random Monday. "For my almost wife," he said, kissing my knuckles like something out of a movie. I stared at the bouquet, wondering if he'd done the same for her. Riley showed up early to help address invitations. "You okay?" she asked, watching me from the corner of her eye. "You've been quiet lately." "I'm just tired," I replied, licking envelopes. "So much to do." She studied me. "If you're having doubts, you can tell me you know." The irony almost made me choke. 2 weeks before the wedding, I almost lost everything. I'd left my laptop open on the dining table, the wedding day truth folder minimized but still visible in the corner. I went to grab laundry from the dryer, and when I came back, Jacob was standing there, hand on the mouse. "What are you working on?" he asked casually. My blood froze. "Seating chart updates." I lied, stepping between him and the screen. I clicked aimlessly. "Apparently Aunt Denise can't sit near the bar or she'll start a revolution." He laughed and stole a carrot stick from my plate. "You and your spreadsheets," he said, wandering away. My knees almost gave out. That night, I told Noah, "I don't know if I can do this. It feels cruel." He looked me straight in the eyes. "What they did to you is cruel. Telling the truth is not." Still, in the dark, I imagined another option. Cancel quietly, disappear, let them implode on their own. But then I'd be the story. The crazy runaway bride who just couldn't handle commitment. That was when I realized they were starting to fear my calm. The morning of the wedding felt like living inside a movie I'd already spoiled. The hotel bridal suite was full of hairspray, steam, and people fussing over me. Riley handed me a mimosa with shaky hands. "To you," she said, voice too bright. "You deserve the best day ever." "Do I?" I asked, watching her over the rim of my glass. She blinked, then laughed it off, assuming I meant wedding stress, not moral betrayal. Aunt Denise tugged at my dress. "You sure about this guy?" she asked in a low voice. "He's charming, but something in his eyes always looks like he's auditioning." I almost hugged her. "I'm sure," I said. "About what I'm doing." Downstairs, guests started to arrive, flooding the courtyard in soft pastels and borrowed jewelry. I watched from the window as Jacob greeted people, hugging relatives, clapping friends on the back. He looked like the perfect groom in his navy suit, the same shade as the jacket I'd seen in that rooftop reflection. Noah stepped into the room, already in his suit. "The DJ has the file," he murmured, straightening his tie. "The projector's tested. You good?" "I'm terrified," I admitted. "But I'm done being scared of the wrong thing." As the photographer posed us, me with my bridesmaids, me with Riley alone, fake laughter, chin up, I noticed Riley couldn't hold my gaze for more than 2 seconds. When the photographer asked Jacob and Riley to join me for a fun best friend shot, Jacob's hand landed on her waist before he seemed to remember and moved it to my shoulder instead. In the middle of all that heavy makeup and careful lighting, I felt weirdly light. The truth was a weight I'd finally decided to set down in public. Everyone kept saying I looked radiant, but I knew it was rage. We made it through the ceremony with my heart pounding so hard I could taste metal. I said, "I do," with a calm voice and a storm under my ribs. I wasn't marrying Jacob so much as walking him onto a stage he'd built himself. At the reception, after dinner, the DJ tapped the mic. "All right, everyone, time for some special speeches and a little slideshow the bride put together." Jacob squeezed my hand under the table. Riley wiped a tear from her eye, already emotional. They had no idea. The lights dimmed. The first slide appeared, baby photos of me, then pictures of Jacob and me in the early days, coffee dates, vacations, the proposal. Soft music played. Guests cooed at the screen. Then the next image appeared. Riley, in a white hotel robe, hair in a towel, champagne in hand. Jacob's watch visible on the arm around her waist. Gasps rippled through the room. Before anyone could react, the audio shifted. My voice came over the speakers, calm and clear. 3 months ago, while I was home planning this wedding, my fiancé and my maid of honor checked into the Marriott downtown. Slide after slide. The deleted cloud notification, the bar boomerang with Jacob's jacket in the reflection, the text preview about champagne in the bathtub, dates and times in the corners. I narrated each one, laying out the pattern. No shouting, no accusations, just facts. At our table, Jacob lurched to his feet. "Turn it off," he barked. "This is some kind of mistake." Riley stood frozen, color draining from her face. Aunt Denise muttered, "Well, damn." Loud enough for 3 tables to hear. Noah stepped to the DJ booth, arms folded, making sure no one touched the equipment. On the last slide, instead of our first dance photo, there was text, "This wedding is canceled. Please enjoy the open bar I already paid for." When I pressed play on the projector, every lie weaved itself aloud. For a full 10 seconds after the slideshow ended, no one moved. The only sound was the soft hum of the projector cooling down. Then the room exploded. Jacob grabbed the mic from the DJ. "She's exaggerating," he shouted, voice cracking. We got drunk a couple of times. It didn't mean anything. It was before we were really serious." 3 months ago isn't before we were serious," I said calmly, standing up. "We had a date on this venue contract." Riley finally found her voice. "Mia, please," she cried, mascara streaking. "You don't understand. We were both in a bad place. It was a mistake. We were going to tell you." "When?" I asked. "Before or after I changed my last name?" A murmur rolled through the crowd. Some guests looked away, embarrassed to have front-row seats to our implosion. Others stared hungrily, phones half-raised like they were watching reality TV. Jacob's mother stormed over, face flushed. "How could you humiliate us like this?" she hissed at me. I held up the envelope from my clutch and handed it to her. Inside were the printed screenshots. "He did that himself," I replied. "I just declined to cover it up." Noah stepped beside me, solid as a wall. "Mia's leaving now," he announced. "Anyone who wants to support her can call later. Anyone who thinks this is her fault can stay here and enjoy the appetizers." Jacob reached for my arm. "We can talk about this," he pleaded, voice suddenly small. "Please don't do this. You're overreacting. We can fix it." I pulled away, slipping off my ring and setting it on the table between us. "You broke it," I said. "I'm just acknowledging the damage." Walking out of that venue, I carried flowers and nuclear fallout. The days after the non-wedding felt like waking up after surgery, groggy, sore, with pieces missing I hadn't agreed to lose. My phone blew up for a week straight. Some messages were supportive, "Proud of you," from coworkers, "Took guts," from distant relatives. Others were less kind. "You didn't have to embarrass them like that," from Jacob's cousin. There are 2 sides to every story, from a mutual friend who'd clearly already picked theirs. Jacob sent long emails full of half-apologies and self-pity. "I messed up, but you ambushed me," he wrote. "Riley means nothing compared to you." Riley texted once, "I hate myself, but I also hate you right now." I blocked her after that, not because I didn't want to read more, but because I wanted to stop imagining my replies. Financially, it was a mess, but not a disaster. The lawyer Noah dragged me to before the wedding saved me from the worst of it. We recovered part of the venue cost, lost the catering deposit, and donated the floral arrangements to a nearby hospice. Someone sent me a photo of an elderly woman holding my would-have-been bridal bouquet, smiling. It hurt and healed at the same time. I moved out of the apartment Jacob and I had shared. Noah and Aunt Denise tag-teamed my move, cracking jokes to fill the silence. Aunt Denise taped a note to one of the boxes. "Better alone than sharing a bed with an empty heart." Therapy became a weekly appointment I treated like a non-negotiable meeting with myself. I talked about why I ignored early red flags, why I prioritized everyone else's comfort over my own sanity, why betrayal from my 2 favorite people sliced deeper than any breakup. Slowly, the empty space they left became room I could finally decorate. It's been 8 months since the wedding that turned into an expose. Jacob and Riley tried to date for a while, from what I heard through the grapevine. It didn't last. Apparently, trust is hard when you built your relationship in somebody else's blind spot. I don't feel triumphant when I think of them now. I feel distant, like I'm remembering characters from a show I stopped watching. The anger softened into something more useful, clarity. I see my own part more honestly. I was so desperate to believe I was lucky to have a charming fiancé and a wild, loyal best friend that I minimized every gut feeling. I confused keeping the peace with being loved. I thought if I just worked harder, planned the perfect wedding, played the cool fiancé, laughed off weird moments. I could earn loyalty. You can't earn loyalty from people who treat your trust like a stage prop. These days, my life is smaller but more solid. Saturday mornings are for farmers markets again, but I go with myself. I'm learning pottery, badly. I host game nights with a few friends who have seen me ugly cry and didn't flinch. When someone's words and actions don't line up, I don't explain it away. I step back. If you're reading this because you're staring at your own red flags, your partner's work friend, the best friend who suddenly acts weird around you, the stories that don't quite match, I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you this. You are not crazy for wanting your reality to make sense. If you feel crazy right now, consider you might be finally seeing